You are in for an absolute treat. This recording was with a young man called Gyasi Raphael. And in this session, he speaks about the importance of fatherhood and the role that men play in the home as a father. His passion, his energy, the way he delivers this message is absolutely exceptional. This was one of them sessions where I literally didn't say much at all. I didn't need to, because this guy was just dropping pearls of wisdom all the way through. He was absolutely sensational. So I really do hope you enjoy it. Listen, take notes, and remember to listen all the way to the end, because he drops a serious message to men out there. Click the like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't, click notifications. You know the deal. Enjoy.
What I would say to men out there who are missing out these moments with their kids. One, who's teaching your kids? Who's speaking into your kids' lives? Those internal objects that you're supposed to be feeding into so that your kid can rely on it when you're not around. And when I mean no, you're not around, I don't mean like now when you're not around, but when they're adults and you are fertilizer, to put it mildly. What are they relying on? What have you put in them to rely on? If you're not there speaking into their lives, who's teaching your kids? Because somebody's teaching your kids. Your kids are learning from somebody. And if all they're learning from is your absence, even that is a teacher.
I've got you down as a storyteller.
I think that's probably the most appropriate title. I mean, one of my earliest acting teachers, I act. I don't know if I told you that before. Yeah.
No.
Actually, I mean, technically, that actually is my job. I'm an actor. But one of my earliest acting teachers, he said a thing. He said, you know what? He doesn't introduce himself as an actor because you say actor and people get this idea in their head. And it's like, they're not wrong. They're not wrong. They're not 100% right, but they're not wrong. So instead of putting that in their head and then having to overcome that and correct it and whatever else, he introduces himself as a storyteller.
Mm-hmm.
So the essence of acting is telling stories. You are embodying this story, you are immersing yourself in the story so that you are telling a story to others. You are making it, you are being real in this imaginary moment so that the moment can be real with the people who are observing it. And so he introduced himself as a storyteller. And I thought that was so real to me in that moment that ever since then I've said I tell people, yeah, okay, I'm filing my taxes. I'm an actor. But but the essence of what I do is that I tell stories. It's how my kids will attest to this, and they will lament this at the same time. But it's how I communicate with my kids. If I want to, I tell them stories. I tell them stories from my childhood. I tell them stories of things going on around the world. It's how I communicate lessons. It's how I communicate ideas. So my main form of communication, I think, is telling stories. The storyteller, I think, is fair. Though at the same time, I know it can sound it's in 2025, it's not really a job title. So it's not really a thing that people will automatically say, "Oh, I understand what that means." Not necessarily, but I think it does most accurately describe how I carry myself through the world.
Okay.
So yeah, it's a
All
lot of
right.
words, right? That's what I'm talking about. Storytelling is a lot of words. I feel like I could have said yes. I feel like I could have said, yeah, do that. I feel like I could have said yes. And so now on reflection, but yeah. Storytelling. I think, okay, so that's the why behind why I think storyteller makes sense. So yeah. Legacy is planting fruits in a garden, but you'll never eat from the tree. You plant those seeds. Plant those seeds. So when you're out there, not when you're out there, I know you're out there because you feel that's your place, but understand there's a garden here waiting for you to plant seeds in it. And there's seeds that only you can plant. So come and plant those seeds and plant a legacy in your children's lives. And this tree, these fruits that it will bear will nourish them and generations to come. You have to live with not, it's like a game of chess. You can't play today for today. You got to play today for 5 years, 6 years, 7 years down the road. I tell you, sitting down with my son nearly 2 decades ago, good grief, nearly 2 decades ago as a little baby, that time I sat with, the time I spent just sitting with him, just building blocks, building stickle bricks, playing with Legos, sit there listening to some music, and we talk about the music. As he got older, he had a real ear for music, so we talk about the different instruments and how they're working together. I play a few instruments myself, so I sat down played the piano with him before, with him sitting on my knee, and he was playing. The time you spent together. Now, I tell you what, he's very intelligent. Of course, I'm going to say that I'm biased. He's very handsome. He gets that from me. Again, I'm biased, but he has his own ideas, and he's learning how to see the world for himself. And he's not
Yeah.
always convinced by what his parents have told him, and that's fine. That's the stage he's in. But you know what he has? He has time for his dad's opinion. He will come. He will hear something. He will hear something on the internet, or he will hear something talking to his peers, or he will hear some, or he'll have a conversation with some, even relatives, and then he'll come back to me and he'll say, "Hey, what do you think about this? That didn't sit right with me." And so now, keep in mind, this is the same child that if I say to him, "Hey, look, come and sit down. I want to talk to you," he's like, "Oh my goodness, it's another lecture." I was walking through the woods. No, seriously. I was walking.
I can understand, brother.
I was taking a trek through the woods the other day. I decided, no, I don't need a lift home. I'll walk these 4 miles. I don't know what I was thinking. I'll walk home, and I'm trekking through the woods to get home. And he called while I was walking. And so we're talking as I'm walking through the woods, and it was a really nice talk. And at one point, I'm looking at the map, and the map says, "Go straight forward. It'll get you to where you want to get to." And I look straight forward, and I'm just seeing trees, like overgrown trees. Now there's a path, but the path goes that way. But the map says go this way, and there is no way where the map said to go. And I say to him, I say to him, "Give me a second. This isn't making sense." So I turn a few times, and it's definitely saying walk into those bushes. And I said to him, I explained to him what was going on. I said, "It feels like there's a message in here. There's something, the deepest." And he's like, "Do we have to do this?" I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
No. Don't worry. I'll save it for later. I'll tell you later. He's like, "You don't have to. You don't have to. You could just write that one down. You don't need." So he's like, no. Don't worry. I'm gonna put something together. I'll lay it on you later. And he's like, "Oh, okay, fine." And so he knew. But when he hits a question mark, he will come to me and say, "Hey, what do you think of this?"
Mm.
I'll be honest with you. I didn't have it with my dad. I never had that with my dad, and I still don't have it with my dad. But I 100% believe it's because I said, "You know what? I'm gonna be there. I'm
Mm.
gonna be there with you. I'm gonna walk. We're gonna walk and hold hands." He's a big man now, so we don't walk and hold hands that much. But
Mm-hmm.
he doesn't like hugging. He's very standoffish. He doesn't like to hug people. But you know what? I've always hugged my son, and I'll continue to hug my son.
Absolutely,
No
brother.
matter how
Yeah.
big he gets, no matter how big he gets. So now when he sees me, as much as he's not a big hugger, he knows a hug's coming. So he's like, "Come on, bring it in. Let's just get this out of the way. Let's get." And and he's like, "No. He understands this is part." I used to say to him
Mm.
every single day, and and putting that all so that now he's going out with his friends. He's leaving. I'm busy doing something, and he'll call out from the door, "Love you." I'm like, "I love
Mm.
you, son." As he's leaving, he
Mm-hmm.
will come in. He's got his own keys now. He comes in. He comes and finds me where I am to get it to get his hug, because you know what? That's what we do. But you
Mm.
invest that time. You invest that time. You spend that time. One thing I learned really early with my oldest son, putting him to sleep. I had a deal. I said to my mom, "I'm supposed to be going out. So if I can get him to sleep, can you just be around, just keep an eye on him, and I'm going out, hang out with some friends. I'll be back." And she's like, "Yeah, that's cool. Just get him to sleep, because he's not going to go to sleep if I put him to sleep. So you put him to sleep, and then off you go." And I'm like, "Okay, cool. I can do that. I'm gonna get him to sleep." I'm like, "Yeah, okay, cool. Done it a million times before. Let's do this. Bedtime routine in the bathtub. We're singing songs. Yeah, that's great." Well, I'm singing, and he's kind of like being a baby, and I'm like, "Yeah, that's great." And then get him to bed. Cream, all moisturized up and dressed up and all cuddly and warm. Okay, great. Down to sleep. 1, 2, 3, sleep. And "You're not sleeping." Okay, all right. Slow it
Mm-hmm.
down. Still not sleeping. Half an hour later, still not sleep. What is going on? My watch is right here, and the time is ticking. I'm gonna be late, but I could still make it though. If you could go to sleep, you're still not. You know what I realized? When he went to sleep? When I finally gave up all hope of going out. When I finally was like, "You know what? I'm not going anywhere. It's just you and me.
Mm-hmm.
It's just
Mm-hmm.
you and me right here, right now. Nothing else matters." The more stressed I got, even as I felt I was hiding it, even as I felt I was being subtle, the more anxious I got, the more wound up he got, the less likely he was he could not wind down. He could not calm down the more anxious I got. And I was like, when he calmed down, he calmed right down when I said, you know what? It's just you and me. End up not going out anywhere that night. And I'm like, I had such a peace with it because I realized, look, being in the moment, being in that moment, being present in that moment means that you're not ever trying to hustle these kids off to go and do something else. You're not ever saying to these kids, look, my time with you is great, but I need to do. And I mean, there's a time and a place for that. As he gets older, I'm like, yo, I need to cut you off, son. I got places to be. But as he's old and he's able to appreciate that. But as a small child, it's like, no. I have no place to be but here with you. And I know that is a luxury. Some people, not everybody can do that. I was able to do it because all I was missing out on was a social gathering that could be postponed. If you have to go to work, you can't say that. If that was a work issue, that you can't say, you know, well, whatever, work, I'll just stay, bills still got to get paid. So I realize in that situation, it's not the same for everybody. But I think the gem I took away from that moment was that it's always important to be in the moment that you're in, especially with your kids. I mean, for all of your life, definitely, but especially with your kids, that moment is all there is. That's the whole world. That's the whole game right there. And so if you are looking at your watch in that moment, you're not in that moment. And they pick up on that. If you're clock watching, you're not in that, if you are, I love you, kid, but if you could get out my way so I can do something else, they pick up. And I know that nobody's trying to be that cold with their kids, but understand that if you're not in that moment, there's something precious about being, there's something calming about being, there's something kind of, it's like a warm emotional hug for the child. There's something reassuring. You're building up something inside the child. In psychotherapy, they talk about internal emotional objects, and you are feeding into the child always. And when you value that moment, when you make that moment precious, when you make that moment the most important thing, you are putting into that child those positive, healthy emotional objects that this child now, what they get from that is that they are now taking on that value that you have put into this moment. They are attributing that, so that you're now speaking this, you're living this value into them, so that they now know that they have this value. You know what I'm saying? And so it was a light bulb moment for me early in his life. And it's something I've mimicked with the subsequent two children. I'm like, you know what? No, it's okay. I will cancel almost anything and just sit there with my kids. So in my experience, a lot of guys who aren't there with their kids, there are different reasons. And I say in my experience, because I don't want to talk on everybody. I don't know everybody. But in my experience, there's a lot of reasons that they will give on the surface. But when you get down to it, there's a lack of confidence that they are able to do it. And so because down deep inside, the job seems overwhelming. And whether it's because they weren't parented by somebody who told them that, who taught them how to eat elephants, one bite at a time, whether they weren't parented by someone who told them, like, look, our species has been on this earth for X number of years. You're not going to meet anything new. There's going to be somebody you can ask. There's going to be somebody you could lean on. There's going to be something inside that you didn't know was there until you find yourself in a situation where you needed to find it. But you're going to get through because there is absolutely nothing new in this parenting game. It's new to you, true, but it's not new. So there's going to be a way through. There's already somebody going through it. There's already somebody who's been through it. So maybe you weren't raised by somebody who said, look, here's my shoulder. Come and lean on me when you meet that thing that you didn't expect to meet. And I'm not going to tell you what it is because I don't know what it is, but I know you're going to meet something. When you meet it, come and lean on me. I might not have the answer for you, but I've got an ear to listen to your problems, and we'll hash it out together. And maybe you know somebody, maybe I know somebody. We work something out, but come and lean on me when times are hard. Maybe you weren't raised by somebody like that. Maybe you weren't raised in that environment. Sure. So you doubt yourself, you doubt your support system, you doubt all these things, and so you don't lean into the parenting thing, and you become an absent parent. And I want to say all of these things are real. Because we have not, and I say we as men, I'm not saying black men, I'm saying men. We have not been building these networks, these necessary networks. When I say necessary networks, if I say Mumsnet, do you know what that is? I mean, Mumsnet? A lot of guys, a lot of parents, a lot of fathers who are we'll know what Mumsnet is, because not because they go to Mumsnet, but because the mum in the family has probably been there once or twice. Maybe you've heard about it on the TV or the radio or whatever. Mumsnet is, but you know why Mumsnet exists? Mumsnet exists because for generations, women have networked with other women, whether they sit down there doing hair and telling stories. They sit down around the pot and telling stories. They sit down weaving cloth and telling stories about what it was when they raised kids, telling stories about, and they talk and they talk and they share and they share. And I know I'm generalizing. Some women don't do this, but the overwhelming majority of women, they share these things. And so what you end up with is actually, before Mumsnet, the website became a thing, mums networked. Whether they drop their kids off from school and they're walking back with an empty pram, two women with empty prams walking back and sharing stories, and they're sharing and they're sharing. So they know if they meet a problem, there's a woman out there that they can talk to. Even if these two women don't have an answer, there's a third, a fourth, a fifth, and a sixth. They're going to find an answer somewhere. And the thing is, because women have not had the luxury of not being there with kids, the luxury that men have had to be absent, women haven't always had that. They generally don't have that. And so they have, out of necessity, dug deep inside, and invented something. And it has borne fruit from generation to generation to generation. Men, and even when men make networks, it's not to share stories about how to be better parents. It's not to talk about their struggles. It's not to expose their weaknesses and hope that somebody can help them. No, when men network so they can all collectively lean in on the things that they find easy and all feel good about it. I'm not saying there's not a place for that. There must be a place for that. We must always have a place for that, because sometimes we just need to feel good. Sure, definitely. But what we have been neglecting is building up that network that says, so we have less men who are absent because less men feel that they're on their own doing this. And so for the man who's out there and he doesn't have that confidence.
This is why we started Man Talk Real Talk. It's purely because what you're speaking about now, you mentioned something earlier. I'm gonna pick you up on this about two ladies walking side by side with empty prams,
Yeah.
but they're talking, they're sharing, they're
Yeah,
sharing their experiences, they're sharing their wisdom from not making the same mistake. They're doing all those things that men fail to do. So the reason why we started this platform, Man Talk Real Talk, is for real talk to happen, with real men that are going through situations, that are going to be listening to someone like you and learning from the message that you're sharing, the wisdom that you're dropping. You're dropping bombs all over the place, brother, right? And these men that are listening in need to hear what you're saying. So we're going to do a part two. We have to do a part two because we've literally, again, every guest I have on this platform, they've got so much wisdom to share. You cannot fit it all into one episode. It's impossible. So we have to schedule in a part two. I haven't even stopped you for a reason, because I'm listening and I know the other men are listening to what you're saying, because what you're saying is so relevant. I've been quiet throughout a lot of this, but inside of me, I've been jumping up and down, because you are exactly the reason why we started this platform, because we want men to speak, but speak about things openly, speak about things with passion and the vigor and the energy that you're exuding right now. This is what it's all about. This is what it's all about. I don't need to be interjecting and to be saying, giving my opinion. It's not necessary, because what you're saying is exactly what we want men to hear out there. Yeah, it's not about me, it's about we. It's about us. It's about the community of men coming together, right? And being able to share these vital skills or areas that some of us have missed. And there's a collective of men that need to hear what you're sharing right
100%.
now.
I hear that.
You don't need to apologize in any way, shape, or form, because your pearls of magic, okay, are planting seeds into those listening ears. I don't know who's going to hear this. We don't know who's going to hear this, but I really do pray that one person hears one part of your message and is able to completely transform their life and turn it around and be that person that they're supposed to be that father that they're supposed to be that person to in the community that they're
Yeah.
supposed to be,
Yeah.
you know. And this
Hmm.
is what it's all about, brother. So I'm just thanking you.
Every day is a school day. Every single day is a school day. You're learning every day. And so for the guy out there who, if he's honest, really doesn't think he can hack it. He could look tough on the streets when nobody asks anything more of him than to simply look tough. But he could, lean into the things that he's good at because, well, he's good at. But he don't want to go home where he has to be real because he doubts his ability to do that. And I understand that doubt. I live that doubt every day. The point is, you have to live it. You have to embrace it. You have to understand that doubting yourself and questioning yourself, and you challenge yourself, and then you overcome. And then you overcome. And then where you don't overcome, you be honest about that. Because that's the only way you'll ever overcome that. Where you slip and fall, you get up and you dust off your knees. You take notes. Don't try and hide it. You take notes so that you can learn from it so you could guide somebody else. You take notes so that you can learn from it and you can tell your kids about it as well. Look, I have stories. I have stories of my successes, but let me tell you about my failures. Let me tell you about my failure. Let me tell you where I tripped up. Because as much as I want you to respect me, I need you to watch out for the potholes. So there's no reason why you should be tripping up in a pothole that I tripped up in.
That's
If
right.
you trip up in a pothole that I tripped up in, that is a failure on I was too busy trying to look
Absolutely.
good. I was too busy trying to look good to protect you from pitfalls that I know about. I can't, every generation of man that comes along, every generation of father that comes along shouldn't be starting at go. You should be passing on the baton, and in the baton, open it up. It's got a whole map and information, and like, this is everything I've learned. Start from where I stopped. Don't start from where I started. Start from where I
That's
stopped.
so
You
good.
should, you should be getting a
That's so
boost.
good.
You should be getting a boost. I said to my son, look, you know what? You should be reaching further than me for the simple reason that you should start where I stopped, not where I started. My kids are like, you talk too much. I said, I know I talk too much. I know I talk too much. I know I will talk your ears off. But you know what? I do this because, believe me, you would rather hear all this from me than have to live all of it through for yourself. Now, there are things I cannot prepare you for. There are things like, well, no, I'm going to do my best to prepare you for anything, so you're ready for anything. But the truth is, there are going to be specific situations and specific potholes that you're going to find for yourself that I never found. And so you're going to have to say, what did I learn that is most appropriate for this situation? Or what can I dig down deep inside and find something to deal with? Because I don't have an answer for this. Daddy didn't give me one of those. Sure, that's life. You're going to go places I didn't go. So you're going to have difficulties I don't have. But I'm going to say this again, but if you trip over in a pothole that I've tripped over in, then I have failed you. I have failed to prepare you for this journey. So my potholes, what didn't work for me, the mistakes I made, yeah, you would do well to mark those, but to recognize those, because where my particular skill set makes me able to excel in areas that maybe yours doesn't, my particular falling over, anybody can fall over. So learn from my mistakes. Be inspired by my successes, but learn from my mistakes. And so I have to be honest with that. And so, Mr. Man who's not at home, come home and talk to your kids. They need to hear from you. Come home and be real. Be real about what you're good at. My goodness, you know how one thing I never had growing up, when kids talk about my dad this and my dad that,
Yeah.
I didn't have anything to throw in the pot. I didn't have anything. That's a loss. Kids want to be proud of their parents. They want a dad that they can say, you know what, but my dad did so. Yeah. And I mean, side note, if you don't think anything that you're doing is something that your kid could be proud of, well, I mean, that's a sign. That might be a sign to do something different. If you don't think that your kid could say, yeah, you know what, but my dad, oh my goodness. And there's not a single one thing. There's not a dish you can cook. There's not a race you can run. There's not a single thing that you do that you think your kid could be proud of. Really, I doubt that's true. And if it is true, maybe that's a sign to do something different. So come be there and be present. Well, I mean, I'll be honest straight away with you right now. I've struggled with addiction in my life. And before this gets particularly dark, I get addicted to video games. So I get very addicted to video games. I love it. I've always loved them. I've always loved video games since console, since I was small. My mom will get a computer to do work with, and I'll find a game to play on that computer. I love games. And so one thing now, I have a mobile phone that I rarely make phone calls with. I got games on it though. And I got to be saying to myself, no, 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 no. Put that down and sit there with your kids. Put that down and sit there with your kids. Sit there with your kids, invest some time in them. Do something with them. The other day, I rolled out a chess set to play chess with one of my kids, and the others just came along. And then I get up today; it's half term, so I get up today, and they're playing chess downstairs. They're playing chess against each other, and they're waiting for me to come down to play more chess. And I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Because when you are present, you don't know how it's gonna what it's gonna spark up, what it's gonna bring up. So be present, be flawed, be yourself, and be all of these things with your kids. Intentional presence in my son's life. Maybe we'll talk about it sometime, but intentional presence in my son's life. It was from day one. Yeah, there were lots of nice stuff like, okay, you know what am I, let's put aside some stuff that we're gonna do together. Let's invest in some stuff to spend some time together. Yeah, sure. I did the whole nesting thing because I had like really great ideas that of things that I wanted to do, skills that I felt I had that I wanted to share with him and whatnot. And he came along and it's like, I learned about him and as he grew up and said, okay, we can't do these things, allergies and whatnot, but let's look at these things. And making an active decision, and part of that active decision was saying, you know what, I need to get myself back into church seriously, because it's one thing to be there and it's another thing to be there, to be intentional about being there. You know what I'm saying? And I felt, and this was a decision I made for myself, a discipline that I felt I needed to, a discipline. Chinua Achebe once said that there's only one kind of discipline, and it's self-discipline. Anything else is just somebody making you do something. I paraphrase. That's not how he said it.
That's great, man. You said it very well.
There's only one type of discipline, and so I'm like, it's a discipline I needed to enforce on myself. So, Gyasi, you know what? You've been in church your whole life. Don't get me wrong. I started to go to church before I was 6 years old. My mom. I said the sinner's prayer with my mom when I was 6. It was Easter of 1980. Let's not get into that. I'm old. It was then I lived in church, but had I lived walked, I talked the talk, sure, I know the scriptures inside out, backwards, upside down, sure, but it's up here, is it down there? So I said, you know what, let me do something different, and made that choice. And so, very intentional, very purposeful, being part of my son's life. And it's not always been easy. In fact, it's a struggle, but I couldn't imagine doing it any other way. There have been, oh my goodness, in the early days, because his mother and we weren't together. And so in the early days, there were times when it was just him and me. There were a lot of times when it was just him. It was just the two of us. He was months old. I would have him with me, and it's just like him and I'm like, okay, what are we gonna do? You and this baby here. You're sleeping when he sleeps. You wake up when he wakes up. You feed him. You change him. Everything, you take care of him, and watch him grow. And watch him grow. Take him. You go to the park. You go to little these little kids, these things that they have for small kids with music and stuff like that. And all the other parents look at me like, all the other parents. When I say all the other parents, I mean all the other mothers, because there were like no other dads there. 17 years ago, there were no other dads there. And I turn up with this kid, and they're like, "Are you? Is mom coming? Are you dropping him here? And mom's gonna? No, I'm here." It's like, this is for parents. Yes, that's me. I'm a parent. It's like people looking. First few weeks, the mother's looking like I'm an alien or something. Eventually, they're like, "All right, fine. This is your thing. You're gonna be here with the kid, like you're a parent." Okay, but you know what? It was hard. It was very, very hard. At the same time, it was humbling. But it also, like I said, I can't imagine doing it any other way. I could imagine doing it. I can't imagine not being there. And it was interesting, actually. I had so many of these light bulb moments in the early years of just being with my son. So many light bulb moments. And one of the earliest light bulb moments was I felt a profound sorrow for my father, because I'm like,
right,
you missed all of this. If you have an inkling how much you have missed, that's got to hurt. And if you don't know what you've missed, then that hurts me even more for you. Just watching this boy just watching him grow has so much. It was just, you know what? it's exhausting. I mean, I don't even preach to you. You know what raising kids are like. It's exhausting. But at the same time, it is the most life-affirming thing I've ever done. And I'm gonna talk to the men because you know what? Society already spends far too much time telling women who they should be and letting men get away with anything. So let's talk to the men for a bit. And so that's why I find that I think my time is better spent talking to men about men's issues and say, look, we have what we call men's issues, and then there are actual men's issues. And we need to talk about these things because we play a significant part in shaping society. And if we don't like how, and the thing is, if we don't like, we don't know it, often we don't know any better because it's been this way for so long. This role that men are supposed to have, that masculinity has carved out for us, how it limits men and doesn't let men be fully human. We need, and like I said, we'll probably go into this more in the next session. But for me, it became a case of it's all good and well that you've spent all this time investing in your kids, but they say a rising tide lifts all ships. So it's not good enough just to do it for you. It's not good enough just to do it for your kids. If we can create an environment where men just talk to each other, men talk real with each other, men be their real selves. Yes, again, it's always good to have an area where you could just lean into what makes you feel good. But we got to be able to talk the real stuff too. We got to be able to talk about our fears. We got to be able to talk about our weaknesses. We got to be able to talk about, and we got to be, and talk about it without fear of being judged. Talk about it without fear of being mocked. We got to talk about how we got to be honest with ourselves, and that's one of the toughest battles. And then we got to feel confident to be honest with each other about who we are and who. Come on, especially nowadays they say, oh, men need to hold men to account, and yeah, definitely. But and I don't mean to undercut that because I really think that's important. In a lot of situations, men are saying some wild stuff, and they don't listen to women, so they need to hear men tell them, "Hey, cut that out." Come on, but that, and I say this with all respect in the world, that is a symptom. That is not an illness. The illness, the core problem that causes men to be talking so far out of pocket in the first place is the fact that we're not dealing with some deep character issues with men. And this is where the realness of the conversation needs to be. Because if we start to deal with the realness of the conversation, we could stop all these men wandering around, all these young men wandering around saying the wild stuff that they're saying. They won't even get there. I mean, take a breath now. Conversations around male-female relationships, how men engage with men, how men treat women. It's like, these conversations need to be had. But I am convinced that if we got down to the core, if we talk about men and our insecurities, if men could be real about these things, men could be real about and express themselves without feeling that they got to shut it down for fear of not looking manly. These situations, they won't go away because we are flawed creatures, but these situations would reduce. These are symptoms of a sickness, and yes, until the sickness is cured, we need to deal with the symptoms. But when are we going to start talking about the sickness? And the sickness is men ain't being real, man. Men aren't being real with each other. They're not being real. We are throwing up walls, and society has told us that we're supposed to have these walls. Society enforces and encourages these walls. It rewards us for throwing up these walls, and we need to start tearing these walls down because now these symptoms are starting to overflow, and society is suffering for the violence. They're suffering for the plethora of things that, I mean, I'm not trying to sound like the news and just start sounding really depressing because we know how the influence of men. I mean, we could be a lot. Men. Let me put it this way: women shouldn't be crossing the road when they see a man coming, but they are, and they do for their own safety. But they do. If a man come in, a strange man you don't know, late at night, women cross the road. And I understand that, and I'm not judging that. And you know what? If that's what you have to do to feel safe, then go ahead and do that. But it's a sad world we live in, and that's an indictment on how men have allowed things to develop. That this is the case we're in right now. The man versus bear debate. I'm not sure if you're aware of it from some months ago, where the situation. The woman said, if you're in the woods and would you rather come across a lone man that you don't know or a lone bear? And how many women chose the bear? Women more often choose the bear, and they're like, I mean, a lot of men get upset about this, but it's like, well, look, with a bear, you know what you're going to get. With a bear, you know what you're going to get. And then women start telling stories, and some of the most horrific stories, and they're not telling the story straight. They get really creative with it. Like one woman said, at least you don't have to sit across from the bear at Thanksgiving every year. And people don't know. And it's like, nobody's going to ask you. If the bear attacks you, no one's going to ask you what you were wearing. No one's going to ask you.
Wow.
No one's going to say that you asked for it. And I'm listening to, I'm like, the stories that they're telling, but not actually telling the stories. It's like with the bear, I say, so women are choosing the bear because men have become unsafe. So we have work to do, my friend. And that work the work doesn't start with how we relate to women. No. The work starts with how we relate to ourselves. And we need to get real. We need to do it urgently. Because, I mean, not to get melodramatic with it, but, the propagation of the species kind of relies on it. We kind of need to get along. But we need to get real, because if women are by and large, and rightly so, afraid of men because men are out of control, then we can't put that at women's door. We can't wait for the women to fix it. We can't put a patch on it and say, well, look, maybe we could work. No. We as men need to talk about some stuff. We as men need to unpack some stuff. We as men need to look in those dark corners of our psyches that we have left to get covered in dust and cobweb because we're too afraid to go there. We need to revisit our injured inner child who's still crying and longing and feeling lost, that we've never addressed because it's scary. We as men need to go. We need to open those boxes that are marked Christmas presents that were empty because we were neglected, and we've never let it go. We've never understood it. We've always blamed ourselves. We need to unpack that box that said arguments my parents had, where we felt that we were the reason why things broke down in our homes. So then we turn around and we shy away from connecting with people because we don't want to perpetuate what we saw in our home as though this was our responsibility. We need to go and look at these things that cause us hurt and cause us shame and cause us disgust that we find within ourselves. Then we project onto others and mistreat them because actually what we're doing is that we're hating ourselves. We have so much work to do, but it starts with being real. It starts with being real, man. And
brother,
it's not easy. It's not easy, but
brother,
more on that next time.
Man talk, real talk. In effect, baby. This is what we're here for. This is what it's all about. You said it. Conversations that matter. Yeah. And we're having that kind of conversation right now. I don't even want it to end, but we're going to have to draw to an end, brother. We're going to have to, but I don't want to, because we're going to, like I said, we're going to schedule in. This has been so real. Oh my gosh, this has been so good. We have to do the part 2, but we're gonna bridge into what men need to do to become real men. And we're gonna talk about that on the next episode. So people,
definitely.
if you want to, you're gonna want to tune into that one, because I know that's gonna be a message within a message within a message within a message. Because there is a lot of work to do. But listen, wow, you have been listening to this amazing young man, and I'm going to say young man because I know he's a lot younger than me.
Thank you. Oh, my kids keep telling me how old I am, and they do it on the sly as well. They're like, this dude, let me tell you about this old man I know. He was 40. I'm like, yo, don't do that. Don't do that. But my kids love to. Thank you so much. You don't know. You're healing me right now, my friend. You're healing me right now.
Okay, man.
I interrupted. Go on. Go.
So good, man. So good. You've been listening to Gyasi Raphael, my goodness, with some pearls of wisdom. And I want to end like this, Gyasi. I'm going to freestyle it, man. I'm going to freestyle it, We call it the quick fire section.
Please.
I feel enlightened. I feel uplifted. I feel like I've been taken up to another level, after what you've just spoken about, because I haven't said much, and I don't. There's times when we've got 2 ears and 1 mouth, okay, and we must use them in that proportion.
Yep.
Yeah, and I've been listening to you, to everything that you've been saying. I've been listening to you. So we call this section the quickfire section, and it's just a little fun before we close. Okay, and then I'm going to give you the opportunity to say your final words. Okay, but what for you? Books or films?
Books.
Okay.
Books.
Nighttime person or daytime person?
Oh, wow, that's a tough one. Such a tough one, man.
Or should I say night or morning? That's better. Night
Okay,
or morning?
nighttime or morning?
Yeah.
Sir, I love the stillness of the night. I love the quiet. Everyone
Me
goes to
too.
sleep, and I'm gonna open a book, and I'm just, yeah, I love that. At the same time, since if I had a choice, I would only have nights and early morning. I would sleep through the rest of the day because
Okay.
then I love the. Well, one thing I love about the mornings, I used to watch sunrises. A job I used to do ages ago. I used to work in a cafe in a city. I used to drive down to the city, get there in time to see the sun rising, and absolutely love sunrises. Since then, it's something I've on opportunity when I get the opportunity to, because I live out near the forest. I'll go out. I'll take my kids out to the forest, and we'll sit there with the sunrise. And in a season like this, autumn, when all the trees are changing color, now they got the golds and the reds and the browns, little sprigs of green here and there. And then when you have the sun, the golden light of the sun cutting through the mists, bringing these colors to life, the early morning is just beautiful. So
Beautiful,
I would
man.
say,
Yeah.
give me the midnight, give me the still of midnight, no other sounds, just me and the night and a torchlight and a book. I'm in heaven. And then give me the sunrise, I'll share with my kids, and then they go to school, I'm going back to sleep. And so
Okay.
I would take the middle of the night and the first thing in the morning, and I'd leave the rest of it. Somebody else could
Okay.
use that. But
All right. No problem, man.
I know you said
All
quick
right.
fire, so I'm trying to keep it short.
It's
That's
quick.
short for me, by the way.
That's short, man. That's
Go
good.
on.
That's good. All right. Okay. So, cats or dogs? You can say neither.
I want to say fish. I want to say fish. I want to say.
Okay.
I want to. I want
Okay.
to say
Cats or
fish
fish?
in a pond in the backyard. I don't. I don't like these creatures in my house.
Okay. Okay.
First of all, okay, I'm gonna say dogs. I'm gonna say dogs because I believe cats are by and large homicidal. So I'm so I'm gonna say dogs.
Don't say
Cats.
that to
You
my
look at
cat,
them
man.
just waiting for you to die so they can eat you. I don't trust cats. I don't trust cats. My son absolutely loves cats, and so I don't want to. And he's allergic to
Okay.
dogs. But if
No
I had to,
problem, man.
I would say dogs. I would say dogs.
All right. So, if you was a movie, what would you be
Yeah.
called?
If I was a movie, I would be called Someday, as
Mm,
in kind of a things will work out someday. This could get really
mm,
good someday. Kind of a watch this space someday.
mm.
Because I always want to believe that my best is still ahead of me.
Yeah.
I want to believe that I live to find higher heights. I don't, I think every pinnacle I reach is just so I can get a view of a further pinnacle.
Mm,
My potential, I don't think we're reconnecting. I think my potential, as much as I want to believe in my potential to go further and do more, I also very strongly believe in the power of legacy. So even when I think of my best is yet to come, that's not necessarily in my lifetime. So I keep pushing forward so that my kids can keep pushing forward so that they can keep, so someday we gonna see. We gonna see the greatness. The greatness ain't great. Even if you think it's great now, we ain't great yet. We get in there someday. We always going
that's
forward.
right. That's brilliant, man. Brilliant,
Yeah.
man. Excellent, man. Listen, brother, that has been so good. I really do appreciate you coming on Man Talk Real Talk today. It's been real talk, real men, real conversation, and conversation that truly does matter. And I
Well,
really do
thank you for having me,
appreciate.
man. Thank you.
You're
I appreciate
welcome, man. You're more than welcome. I can't wait for the part 2, man.
I'm looking forward to it myself. I think we need to be doing more of this. We just need more of this.
Yeah.
It's a great platform and the motivation behind it. We need to be doing more of this. And that's all I can say. We need to be doing more of this.
Mm.
It's so good to see
Hmm.
it. It's so good to be part of it. And I really appreciate you, brother, for having me here.
You're welcome, man. You're welcome.
Mhm.
How can people find you, brother? How can people find you on?
On the socials, I am on Threads and Blue Sky. You can find me. How would you find me on Blue Sky? I think my screen name is GD the Griot. I like telling stories, but you can find me
Mhm.
at GD Raphael, bsky.social, whatnot. And Threads, it's my name, Gyasi Raphael. I think it is actually just my name, at Gyasi Raphael. For some reason, yeah, it's just Gyasi. Yeah, it's Gyasi D Raphael, to be honest. So you can find me on Threads and Blue Sky. But also soon I'll be setting up. I've dabbled with Instagram. I'm not there as much as I used to be. I will be more coming in the future, but I'll have all of that. If you follow me on those two, you'll be made aware of wherever else I'm going to be. But yeah, that's where I am mostly. I try to, because on these socials, kind of touch on current affairs issues a lot. So that's what you'll see me talking about. But also, my heart is for, my passion is for my kids. And so they don't really come out on social. I don't really talk about them on social media that much. But it's also for men and men's health, and that's where you're going to see more. You're going to see a lot of that. So that's where you find me. That's what I'm doing.
Brilliant, brother. Listen, it's been fantastic. It's been real.
I really hope you enjoyed that session. We need your help. Our goal is to reach over 1 million men around the world with these Man Talk, Real Talk sessions. In order to do that, we need you to spread the word. And you can do that by hitting the like button, subscribe to the channel, share it, and click notifications so you don't miss any new episode. You know the deal. The only way we're going to grow is your help. Your help is actually vital. So click like, subscribe, share, click notifications, and let's spread the word of Man Talk, Real Talk to all of those men that are out there. Thanks for your help.